Thanks, Young Corley, and thanks for taking this question, because it's a very, very important one. What I'm talking about here is the bypass of Portlaoise, the total bypass of the N80 of Portlaoise on the eastern and western side of the town, which would mean that traffic, which there's a high volume of on this route, going from the southeast across the Midlands and to the west, would not have to pass through the town of Portlaoise as it does at present. It's hugely important, Minister, for Portlaoise, hugely important for County Laois and the Midlands, but also for the west of Ireland, because it connects the west with the ports of Waterford, Rosslare and other important ports to the east. We have already 6 kilometres of this route in place. 6 kilometres has been constructed by Laois County Council, and that's literally 9/10 of it. The section we're talking about now, the remaining section, Ceann Comhairle, is literally 0.6, almost 0.6 of a kilometre. So 9/10 of the infrastructure is in place. The last 1/10 is needed. To date, it has cost in excess of 13 million to the County Council, and they have very well. People often ask what development levies are used for. Well, in County Laois, they have been used in the main. They have been used very, very well. Laois County Council have used them to get this vital piece of infrastructure in place, and the County Council have delivered big time. From a local point of view in Portlaoise town, it's a very, very important piece of infrastructure to get in place, because there are 2 low rail bridges in the town, and while there have been safety measures and warning measures put in place, we still have the occasional bridge strike where high lorries hit them. So it's important to get those high lorries away from the town completely. We have high lorries going through James Fintan Lawler Avenue up to the middle of a shopping area where there's a lot of pedestrians and pedestrian crossings and other pedestrian facilities, and that needs to change. Also, this September, 3 new schools will open on a campus beside the orbital route, and there is going to be traffic chaos. The Gael School, the local Church of Ireland school and Educate Together school will open there in September, and the following September, hopefully, the schools, the 3 amalgamated schools for the parish, will, where they're going to be amalgamated at Auchnaharna, Summerhill, they will also open. And we need this infrastructure to move traffic around the town. It's absolutely vital, and the new schools opening in that area, along with the existing facilities, is going to put huge pressure on the roads in the town, the Timahoe Road, the Abbeyleix Road and the Stradbally Road and the Dublin Road. From a national point of view, as I said earlier, it's very important to connect the ports at Rosslare and other ports with the Midlands and the west of Ireland. So we must get regional connectivity, and we must improve this if we're going to improve our economy and competitiveness. The Northern Orbital Route, Minister, which was the grand plan for Portlaoise, in other words, not to go to the east and to the west of the town, but to build a completely new Northern Orbital Route. That isn't a runner because it is dependent on development levies from housing construction. That's not going to happen now. You're looking at a cost of maybe up to 30 million to construct that. So the local representatives, local officials are realistic about this. As a local TD, I'm realistic about it. So we're not banging down anyone's door looking for money to construct a new orbital route. As I said, the County Council have stepped up to the plate here. They have delivered big time. The councillors and the council staff and the county manager, they've put 9/10 of this infrastructure in place. It's also mentioned in the. It's in
Deputy,
listed.
you will have a supplementary.
Okay, we'll just say it's in the National Spatial Strategy and the Regional Planning Guidelines.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Minister, to reply.
Thank you. I'm taking this topical issue on behalf of my colleague Leo Varadkar TD, the Minister for Transport, Tourism and Sport. The improvement and the maintenance of regional and local roads is the statutory responsibility of each local authority in accordance with the provisions of Section 13 of the Roads Act 1993. Works on those roads are funded from local authorities' own resources and are supplemented by state road grants. There have been very large reductions in roads expenditure over the past number of years, and there will be further reductions in the next number of years. Contrast the figure for 2007, for example, when there were grants of €607 million available towards regional and local roads, with 2013, when these grants have now fallen to €350 million, almost half. Given the current financial position, the main focus has to be on the maintenance and the repair of the roads we have already heavily invested in, and this will remain the position in the coming years. And in this regard, it should be noted that the initial selection and indeed prioritisation of works to be funded is a matter for the local authority. In July of last year, local authorities were invited to submit applications for consideration for funding in 2013 under the Specific Improvement Grants Scheme. Laois County Council applied for funding for 11 projects under this category, but the Portlaoise Southern Circular Road was not among the projects selected for funding in 2013. The Specific Improvement Grant Scheme is being suspended from 2014 onward in order to maximise the funding available for repair and strengthening work. In lieu of the Specific Improvement Grant Programme, applications will be sought in mid-2013 for minor bridge repair works, which is a subset of the current Specific Grant Programme for 2014. This is in line, again, with focusing monies on road and bridge maintenance and strengthening. The reality of the funding position means that in all areas of activity, priorities have to be set, and given the current financial position, it has been necessary to reduce the grant allocations for major new road schemes and for major realignment schemes. The main focus has to be at this point in time on the maintenance and repair of roads, and this will remain the position in the coming years. The small amount of funding available for major schemes will focus on projects already under construction or that the Department of Transport, Tourism and Sport is already committed to. It's appreciated that many local authorities are in a position where they are trying to implement savings. However, it's also important to reiterate that the role of the Exchequer grants for regional and local roads is to supplement councils like Laois County Council in their spending in this area. The reality is that the available funds do not match the amount of work required. The Department of Transport, Tourism and Sport and local authorities are working closely to develop new and more efficient ways of developing the best outputs possible with the funding available to them. Given the likely continued squeeze on exchequer funding, this concentration on efficiency is essential to achieve the best outturns for the limited money that is available.
Thank you, Minister. Deputy Stanley.
Thanks, Minister, for that reply. Could I just say, I recognise that money has gone, that funding for these projects has gone from over 600 million down to 350 in the current year. But that aside, the point I would make to you there is that during the boom years, Laois County Council didn't come looking for money for this orbital route from central government to use local resources and use them well. And I would make that point to you. I take on board your point in relation to the priority is to maintain what's there. But what I would say to you in that context, in the context of Portlaoise, if you're going to maintain what's there, there's huge damage being done to what's there in terms of the damage being done to the Timahoe Road, the Stradbally Road, the Abbey Leaks Road and other roads in the town because this 600 kilometres of road is not in place. If this piece of infrastructure was in place, it would take a huge burden of traffic off the others. The couple of last points I would make to you is that the total cost, I'm informed, would come to a maximum of 4.8 million. Laois County Council have acquired one of the parcels of the land. They've already started that process. All lands have been CPO'd. The CPO has been approved for all lands at the moment. The remaining section of almost 600 kilometres is the last piece of vital infrastructure. It's the last piece of the jigsaw and would complete the N80 bypass from going the whole way from the southeast right up across the Midlands and into the west. And I'm just urging the government, there's some talk in recent days of, and I don't know, the Minister for Finance beside you may know more about this, but of some kind of stimulus package, right? And I would urge, and we have to spend money carefully, I recognise that, and I wouldn't want to see money thrown around, but this would really represent value for money. And I'm reliably informed that Laois County Council would not be coming looking for the full 4.8 million off you. They would be coming, they would try to do their part to try and pull their weight and to make an input locally. And I would just ask that, along the line, that, and particularly the Cabinet Minister beside you, that if you are considering a list of capital projects, that you would look at this vital piece of infrastructure. We have connected the cities by motorway. That's very good. It's long overdue that was done. But what we must do now is we must connect the regions by national secondary routes. And we're a long ways behind on that. And that was the intention. If you remember, during the noughties, it was the intention that sort out the cities first, get the motorways in place. That's now done. We must start moving now to connect the regions and the ports to the regions by way of these national secondary routes like the N80.
Thank you very much, Deputy Minister, for a final word.
Thank you, Deputy. Just to point out again, the grants that were available towards regional and local roads in 2007 was the order of just over €600 million. That's now been reduced to €350 million. And in times of severe economic challenge, one has to prioritise what one feels is the best use of those very, very scarce resources. And I would argue, as does Minister Varadkar, that the best use at this point in time is to maintain to an acceptable level the very, very long network of roads that we have throughout this country. I recall reading, I think per capita we may have the most kilometres per capita in the whole of Europe. And that places a very significant burden both on local authorities indeed and the National Exchequer to maintain that very extensive network of roads. That's a decision that has been taken at this point in time. I would be hopeful that as we emerge from our economic difficulties, we will be able to again once fund projects such as this. But I think it would be equally important that Laois County Council would work as best it can with the Department of Transport in perhaps determining which infrastructure improvements would be a priority for itself, and that this particular road, as you suggest, would be on the upper reaches of those listed priorities. Because ultimately, when the decision comes as to what is funded in the future, the local authority itself will have a major role to play in determining what exactly is the priority for its own functional area.
Thank you.